you ever wondered if an old, worn-out penny sitting in a forgotten drawer could be worth a small fortune? Welcome back to Old Penny Worth, the channel where ordinary coins can turn into extraordinary discoveries. Today, we are counting down 3 incredible Lincoln Wheat Pennies that may not look impressive at first glance, but have become some of the most sought-after coins among collectors. Many of these pennies spent decades in everyday circulation, picking up scratches, fading, and signs of age. Yet those very coins have shocked the collecting world by selling for thousands, and in some cases, far more, because of their rarity, unique minting history, or valuable varieties. One of the coins featured in today's video reached an astonishing auction price that surprised even experienced numismatists. You'll definitely want to stay until the end to see which penny earned that incredible value. So before you spend another old cent or overlook that dusty coin jar, take a closer look. You might already own a hidden treasure without even realizing it. If you love rare coin discoveries, valuable wheat penny stories, and exciting treasure hunts, be sure to subscribe to Old Penny Worth and turn on notifications so you never miss another amazing find. Now let's begin with the first remarkable Lincoln Wheat Penny on today's list. 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, no mint mark, the humble penny that could surprise you. Have you ever picked up an old penny without giving it a second thought? Maybe it was sitting at the bottom of a coin jar, tucked inside a forgotten drawer, or hidden in an old family collection passed down for generations. Most people would see nothing more than a single cent, but experienced collectors know that appearances can be deceiving. Some Lincoln Wheat Pennies have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, because of tiny details almost nobody notices. And one of the most overlooked dates is the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Millions were made, and many still exist today. But here's where things get interesting. A handful of these pennies have exceptional quality, rare mint errors, or unusual characteristics that transform an everyday coin into something collectors eagerly compete for. This tiny detail could change everything. Before you spend another old penny or leave one sitting in a jar, take a closer look, because the value of the right 1950 wheat penny may leave you speechless. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this era, Philadelphia cents did not carry a mint mark, making the blank space beneath the date completely normal. More than 272 million examples were produced, so the date itself is common. However, condition is everything in coin collecting. Most surviving examples entered circulation immediately and picked up scratches, wear, and discoloration over decades of everyday use. Finding one that escaped circulation with blazing original mint luster is far more difficult than most people realize. The coin represents the closing years of the famous wheat cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's dignified portrait facing right with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1950. On the reverse are 2 elegant wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto EPLUBUSUNUM above. This classic design remained in production until 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Most people never notice this, but the technical specifications are an important part of identifying an authentic example. The 1950 wheat penny weighs approximately 3.11 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. A genuine coin should match these measurements closely. Significant deviations may indicate damage, alteration, or a counterfeit. But here's where things get interesting. While the regular 1950 Philadelphia cent is common, collectors constantly search for examples with genuine mint errors. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, die breaks, struck-through errors, and dramatic lamination errors are all legitimate mint mistakes that can command substantial premiums depending on severity and condition. Some double dies have also been reported, although no major double die variety for the 1950 Philadelphia cent is considered as famous or valuable as the legendary 1955 doubled die Lincoln cent. Even so, authenticated minor doubled dies can attract strong collector interest. Another feature collectors pursue is exceptional color. Copper cents are classified as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. Fully red examples with original mint color are much scarcer after more than 70 years. A bright, untouched red coin that grades MS66 or higher can be worth many times more than an average circulated example. What happened next shocked collectors as high-grade registry set competition pushed prices for the finest certified examples far beyond what most people would expect for such a common date. If you're checking your own collection, start by examining the area beneath the date. Since this is the Philadelphia issue, there should be no mint mark. Next, inspect Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and coat for wear. Turn the coin over and look closely at the wheat stalks, lettering, and rims for unusual doubling, cracks, or striking errors. A digital scale capable of measuring to 1/100th of a gram and a good magnifying loupe can help reveal details that are invisible to the naked eye. Collectors should also be careful not to mistake post-mint damage for valuable errors. Scratches, dents, corrosion, environmental damage, polishing, and altered surfaces almost always reduce value. Many people assume that any old penny with dark tunning or unusual color is rare, but natural agging alone does not create extraordinary value. Likewise, counterfeiters occasionally alter dates or attempt to imitate mint errors. If you believe you've found an exceptional example, professional authentication from a respected grading service is the safest way to verify authenticity. Auction history demonstrates how dramatically condition affects price. Worn circulated examples typically sell for only a few cents to a few dollars, depending on preservation. Attractive uncirculated examples often bring tens of dollars. Certified gems graded around MS66 red may sell for several $100s, while the finest known registry quality examples have realized well over $1,000 at major auctions when collector demand is especially strong. The difference between an average coin and an elite specimen can be astonishing. That is exactly why collectors never stop searching. Building a complete Lincoln Wheat Penny collection requires finding coins with outstanding eye appeal, original surfaces, and exceptional preservation. Every year, registry set competitors compete for the highest certified grades, and that demand keeps premium quality examples desirable even when the date itself is relatively common. This tiny detail could change everything. Many people focus only on the date, but experienced collectors examine strike quality, luster, color, surface preservation, and tiny mint-made characteristics. Two pennies struck on the same day can have dramatically different values simply because one survived untouched while the other spent decades changing hands. So what is the highest realistic value? A normal circulated 1950 no-mint mark wheat penny is not a fortune. However, an exceptional mint-state red example with one of the finest certified grades can be worth well over $1,000, while a dramatic authenticated mint error on an otherwise outstanding coin may command significantly more depending on rarity and collector demand. The value may leave you speechless, not because every 1950 penny is rare, but because the right combination of quality, originality, and genuine mint error can transform an ordinary 1-cent coin into a prized collectible. Now it's your turn. Before you spend another penny, search through your pocket change, coin jars, inherited collections, old albums, and forgotten bank rolls. Look carefully at every 1950 wheat penny without a mint mark. Compare the color, check for original luster, inspect for genuine mint errors, and weigh the coin if something seems unusual. You never know what might have been hiding in plain sight for decades. And if you think this coin was surprising, don't go anywhere. The next wheat penny we'll examine has a history so unusual that one tiny minting mistake completely changed the way collectors look at the entire series. You won't want to miss what comes next. 1951 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny, the forgotten copper coin that could be hiding in plain sight. What if I told you that a tiny copper coin, something most people would barely notice in their pocket change, could carry a story powerful enough to shake up the entire coin-collecting world? Imagine holding a 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny between your fingers, a coin that has passed through countless hands, traveled through decades of American history, and survived wars, economic shifts, and generations of spending. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. But in the world of numismatics, ordinary is often just the surface of something extraordinary waiting to be discovered. Because here, where things get interesting, not every 1951 wheat penny is what it seems. A few rare examples hide dramatic minting errors, exceptional preservation, or unusual characteristics that transform a simple 1-cent coin into something collectors chase with surprising intensity. And what happened next shocked collectors when high-grade and error examples started appearing at auction, sometimes selling for far more than anyone expected for a common-date penny. The question is simple: could one of them still be sitting unnoticed in your change today? The 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when the United States was transitioning into a post-war economic boom. The D Mint mark, located just below the date on the obverse, identifies its Denver origin. More than 625 million of these pennies were produced, making it a high mintage issue and widely circulated across the country. Despite this enormous production number, most examples were used heavily in everyday commerce, meaning true high-grade survivors are far less common than people assume. The design itself carries deep historical significance. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner. Surrounding Lincoln are the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year, 1951, with the small D mint mark positioned just below the date. The reverse displays the iconic wheat ears design, framing the denomination 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto EPLURBUSUNUM above. This design, used from 1909 to 1958, remains one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. Most people never notice this, but the true identity of a wheat penny is not just in its design, it's in its metal and measurements. The 1951 penny weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. A genuine example should show consistent copper coloration, though natural agging can produce shades ranging from bright red to deep brown. Any significant deviation in weight or size can signal damage or alteration. But here, where things get interesting, the real excitement begins when collectors look beyond ordinary examples and focus on mint-made errors. The 1951 wheat penny is known for a variety of collectible anomalies. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing, can be highly desirable depending on severity. Broad strikes, clipped planchets, and lamination errors caused by metal separation are also known for this issue. Some examples show die cracks or die breaks, where the agging minting dies created raised lines or cud formations on the coin's surface. These mint errors are not damage, they are accidental creations from the minting process itself, and they are exactly what collectors hunt for. This tiny detail could change everything. Condition plays a massive role in determining value. A heavily circulated 1951 penny may only be worth a few cents beyond face value. However, coins that survived in pristine mint state condition with strong original red luster can be significantly more desirable. Coins graded MS65 red or higher are especially sought after because copper is notoriously difficult to preserve without spotting or discoloration over time. What happened next shocked collectors when premium quality examples began achieving strong results in certified auctions. While most circulated coins remain common, high-grade certified 1951 pennies have sold for tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars, and in exceptional cases, even higher when combined with strong eye appeal or rare mint errors. Error coins with dramatic visual features have reached even more impressive prices depending on rarity and condition. Collectors continue to search for this coin because it represents a perfect entry point into numismatics. The Lincoln Wheat series is one of the most collected coin series in the world, and completing a high-grade set requires patience, precision, and attention to detail. The 1951 penny may not be rare in quantity, but it becomes rare in quality, and that is where true collector value emerges. Hidden details often separate an ordinary coin from a valuable one. Experts examine Lincoln's cheekbone, jawline, and hairlines for wear. They inspect the wheat stalks on the reverse for sharpness and look for signs of full mint luster that reflects light evenly across the surface. Under magnification, they search for doubling, die polishing lines, and minting irregularities that indicate something special about the strike. Be cautious, however, because not everything unusual increases value. Environmental damage, corrosion, scratches, or cleaning can drastically reduce a coin's worth. Many people mistakenly assume that dark tunning or heavy wear makes a coin valuable, but in reality, collectors value originality and preservation above all else. Authentic mint errors must also be verified carefully, as damage after minting is extremely common and often mistaken for rare varieties. Now for the moment you've been waiting for, the highest realistic value. A typical circulated 1951 wheat penny is worth only a few cents. A well-preserved uncirculated example can bring modest collector premiums, but a high-grade red specimen or a certified coin with a dramatic, verified mint error can reach significantly higher values, sometimes into the hundreds of dollars or more depending on rarity and demand. The true value may leave you speechless not because every coin is rare, but because the right one, in the right condition, with the right mint mistake, can completely change its story. So before you ignore that old penny jar or spend your spare change, take a closer look. The next coin you examine might not just be copper, it might be a hidden piece of history waiting to be discovered. And in the next video, we uncover another wheat penny with a minting mystery so unusual that collectors still debate its most valuable varieties today. You won't want to miss it. Next up. Imagine holding a coin that passed through the hands of factory workers, farmers, and schoolchildren in the 1950s. A coin so common that most people never bothered to look twice at it. A worn copper penny, darkened by decades of circulation, sitting quietly at the bottom of a jar filled with forgotten change. Now imagine that same penny suddenly becoming the center of a bidding war. What if I told you that a simple 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin most people assume is worth just 1 cent, has been known to sell for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars, depending on tiny, hidden details most people never notice. But here, where things get interesting. Because while the Philadelphia Mint's famous 1955 doubled die steals most of the attention, the Denver issue carries its own secrets, hidden errors, overlooked die varieties, and subtle diagnostics that only trained eyes can catch. And in rare cases, what looks like an ordinary 1955 wheat penny can suddenly transform into a collector's prize. What happened next shocked collectors. Because one small detail can turn pocket change into a story worth far more than face value. Coin introduction. The coin in question is the 1955 Lincoln Wheat cent, struck at the Denver Mint, and carrying the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. At first glance, it looks completely normal. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front, the wheat ears framing 1 cent on the reverse, a familiar copper-brown surface that has been seen billions of times in circulation. But unlike modern pennies, this coin belongs to the final years of the wheat reverse design, making it part of a historic era that ended in 1958. It was struck in a time when the United States was rapidly expanding industrially, and coins were still made primarily for circulation rather than collectors. Yet even in this seemingly ordinary production year, something unusual was happening behind the scenes at the Denver Mint. Historical background. The mid-1950s marked a turning point in American coinage. The Lincoln Wheat cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had already become one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. By 1955, billions of wheat pennies had been struck across multiple mints. The Denver Mint, in particular, was producing massive quantities of coins to meet post-war economic demand. But high-speed production came with a cost. Dies wore out faster, quality control became inconsistent, and occasionally small mistakes slipped through unnoticed. Most people never realize this. But these tiny imperfections are exactly what collectors hunt for today. Because within those imperfections lies rarity. And rarity is where value begins. Design features. The obverse of the 1955 D Lincoln cent shows Abraham Lincoln facing right, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his portrait reads, "In God We Trust," while Liberty sits to the left. The year, 1955, appears on the right, with a small D mint mark below it indicating Denver production. The reverse features Brenner's classic wheat ears design, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, the phrase EPLURBUSUNUM arches across the design. In terms of specifications, the coin weighs 3.11 grams, is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. But here, where things get interesting. Because even though millions were minted, not all 1955 D pennies are created equal. Subtle differences in strike pressure, die wear, and metal flow can completely change a coin's value profile. Rare errors and varieties. Unlike the famous 1955 Philadelphia double die, the Denver issue does not typically show dramatic doubling, but it does carry its own set of collectible anomalies. Some 1955 D pennies exhibit repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D was punched more than once, creating a slight shadow or secondary impression beneath magnification. Others show die cracks, especially around Lincoln's portrait or the wheat stalks, caused by agging dies under heavy production pressure. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin blank shifted slightly during minting, leaving part of the design missing. What happened next shocked collectors. Because in rare cases, high-grade 1955 D cents with sharp strike quality and strong luster have sold for far more than expected due to exceptional preservation combined with minor varieties. Even small errors can multiply value dramatically when combined with mint state condition. How to identify valuable examples. To identify a potentially valuable 1955 D wheat penny, start with the mint mark. Look carefully under the date for a clean D. Any doubling, shadowing, or irregular placement should be examined closely. Next, inspect the coin under 5x10x magnification. Look for repunched mint marks or die cracks, especially near the rim or Lincoln's hairline. Most people never notice this. But even slight variations in strike sharpness can separate a common cent from a collectible one. A strong original red color, RD designation, dramatically increases value, especially in uncirculated condition. Worn brown examples are common, but mint-state red coins are significantly scarcer. Auction records and prices. Circulated 1955 D wheat pennies typically sell for a few cents to a few dollars. However, uncirculated red examples in MS-65 or higher condition can reach $20 to $75 depending on eye appeal. High-end MS-67 red specimens have reportedly sold in the $150 to $400 range in specialty auctions. Error varieties, particularly strong RPM examples in top grades, can exceed these numbers, occasionally reaching $500 plus when demand spikes. While not in the same league as ultra-famous double dies, premium condition 1955 D cents still attract steady collector interest. Collector demand. Collectors seek the 1955 D wheat penny for one simple reason. It represents the final years of the wheat cent series and the transition toward modern Lincoln memorial cents. It also appeals to variety hunters who specialize in Denver mint errors and die diagnostics. But here's where things get interesting. Because demand spikes sharply whenever well-preserved rolls or hoards are discovered, especially those still showing original mint luster. Hidden details most people miss. Most casual collectors miss subtle signs of value. A slightly rotated die alignment. A stronger than normal strike on Lincoln's jawline. Tiny dyed chips near the wheat stalk tips. Even natural copper tunning patterns that suggest long-term untouched storage. This tiny detail could change everything. Because preservation is often more important than rarity itself when it comes to wheat pennies. Highest known value reveal. While the average 1955 D penny remains common, the highest documented sales occur when pristine condition meets rare error characteristics. Exceptional MS-67 plus red examples paired with strong RPM varieties have pushed total realized prices toward the $400–600 range, with specialist private sales occasionally reported higher depending on market demand. The value may leave you speechless. Not because it is millions, but because something so small, so overlooked, can still command serious collector attention. Viewer call to action. If you have old coins stored in jars, boxes, or inherited collections, this is the moment to look again. Because coins, like the 1955 D wheat penny, are still circulating through forgotten stashes across homes worldwide. One overlooked coin might be sitting right in front of you, waiting to be recognized. Suspenseful transition to next coin. But the story doesn't end here. Because the next coin is something even more intriguing, a penny that looks completely normal under daylight, but under magnification, reveals a hidden minting mistake that collectors describe as impossible to ignore. And once you see it, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again.